Hi, and welcome to the final part of the assertiveness module. Today, we'll be breaking down two of the most common areas around assertiveness that people find issues with. The fact that they mistake assertive and aggressive behavior, and the fact that people are not exactly sure of how these two look different in real life scenarios. For this module, we'll be looking into the characteristics and what makes assertive versus aggressive behavior different. We'll be looking into the explicit differences into different scenarios, and also how those scenarios are relevant within social work. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for the first part, we need to understand that assertiveness is generally a positive interaction. It has positive expression within it, whereas aggressiveness is very judgmental and quite negative in how we frame our words. And it's why aggressiveness is rather toxic and problematic, whilst assertiveness is a necessary skill to build. So if you have a situation where a partner or a client has rejected your suggested plan, an assertive way to suggest that they should be adopting what you have suggested is to say something like, in my view, it is necessary to consider this approach as I firmly believe that it is the best plan forward because of ABC, depending on the situation. An aggressive response would be, your rejection is very disrespectful. I don't understand where it is coming from, and you definitely disregard all the hard work that I have put. The second is a very defensive and aggressive in way method of expressing what you want. The former is going to be more likely to help you express what you want and get something out of it, while the latter is just going to break up the relationship between you and the other person. Secondly, assertive communication is fundamentally productive. We're trying to find a solution that is working for either the client or for both of us, or the general situation that we're under, whilst aggressiveness escalates the situation. It's like we're prompting the other person to have a fight with us and try to beat them over that ground. So how would that look like? Let's say that a client has missed a lot of your appointments. The aggressive way to go about it, and the bad way, would be to say that you always miss our appointments and that's very disrespectful towards me and I'm not going to accept it any way forward. Whilst you may be correct in what you point out, the way you point it out in an aggressive way is problematic. How does that look like, however, in the assertive part? It starts with, I noticed that you have missed some of our appointments. I want to look for solutions with you that would work for you in trying to redeem the situation and find the solution to how we don't miss any further appointments, because that's problematic both for me and for you. So moving on from that, in general, assertive communication builds up the potential of finding common solutions with the other party, whereas aggressiveness fundamentally either dismisses, belittles, or avoids the fact that other teams or other situations and suggestions are valuable. So what does that look like in practice? Let's say that your team has been appointed resources which you don't feel are representative for what you want to deliver forward, and instead higher resources, either time, money, investment, has been put into a different team. The assertive way to go about talking to, let's say, a superior about this issue is to go up to them and say, our team has been delivering this product with the resources that we have. In order to be able to maintain this output and improve it towards the better care of our patients, we would need to be using these resources in order to deliver X, Y, and Z. This would be what we would need to be able to do so sustainably and not have any issues within or around the team. The aggressive way to go about it is to go out and belittle the little team, the other team essentially that got the resources, and to say things like, I don't understand how they got these resources. They are not necessarily using it in the best way possible. I truly don't understand how you didn't see the fact that we are working so hard earlier. The latter is much more likely both to get you in trouble and much less likely to help you get what you want in the situation. Moving from that, it is important to distinguish that assertiveness is about seeking to show that you are gaining responsibility, not that you're gaining control over the situation. So to illustrate, let's think of the example where you have a conflict or a disagreement with the parent of a client or a patient who suggests that a different form of therapy is to be taken on from you and from your team. The aggressive way to go about it is to dismiss the other person and to try to show that you are in control and say something like, "You are not the professional here. I am the one that's supposed to be taking these decisions, and I don't necessarily respect the fact that you come here and tell us how to do our job. We know exactly what we're doing." That is showing control and being aggressive, but it's something that's going to deteriorate the relationship with the client's parents, who you definitely want to have a good relationship with. The assertive way to go about it would be to say something like, "I understand your concerns. However, in my professional opinion, it is more beneficial to go about this in X way. And it is my responsibility to advocate for the patient in need, both to you and also within the team. And that's the way you're going to get what you want and also keep a good rapport and sustainable relationship with the people around you, either within or outside of your field of work." So how does that look like when it comes to conflict in general terms? Assertiveness essentially looks to resolve conflict, whereas aggressiveness essentially perpetuates and expands conflict. So let's say you're discussing with a colleague on the best source of action for a client and you tend to disagree, let's say. The aggressive way to go about it is to dismiss the other person and say, "We cannot be continuing to talk about this. We're not going to be wasting much more of our time. It is clear that you are wrong in this situation, and since you're not willing to listen, I'm not going to bother." Now, what's a more productive, hence assertive, way to posit what you want without influencing the other person to be offended or to escalate the conflict? You would say something like, if there's a disagreement, "Let's schedule a meeting to talk over this. It seems like both of our parties have some good points in place, and we should be examining more into them in order to find the best solution and plan for the patient." So, as we have seen, assertiveness is not the same as aggressiveness. Aggressiveness builds up the tension within a room, whereas assertiveness builds up the respect and the trust and the rapport within a room. Where aggressiveness escalates conflict, assertiveness tends to tone down and limit conflict. And when there is aggressiveness, there is usually a lack of respect, which is going to deteriorate the ability to communicate with the other person long term. Whilst in assertiveness, you gain respect by being able to showcase that you're not a pushover, that your opinion has some value, but the fact that you are able and willing to hear what the other person is saying, to voice your opinion, and to place down what needs to happen with the ultimate goal of the patient, the people in need, whoever it is in your area of work that you're benefiting, to actually reap the most benefits out of your intervention and care. So this was the last chapter of our assertiveness module. Hope you enjoyed it.